Let's begin. I saw him again, Miles. And I still feel something. Those words didn't hit like a thunderclap. No, they were quieter, like the soft click of a door locking from the other side. Final, subtle, suffocating. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I just sat there at the dinner table, my fork halfway to my mouth, spaghetti slowly slipping back onto the plate as the weight of what she'd said hovered between us. It was Rebecca, my wife, the woman I had built everything with over the last 7 years. And she had just confessed, out of nowhere, that she had run into her ex, Julian, and that seeing him stirred something. My voice didn't rise. I didn't beg for answers. I didn't even ask where or when. Instead, I said 4 words I never imagined I'd say. Do you love him? She blinked, lips slightly parted, like she hadn't expected that question. Her hesitation was the loudest answer I'd ever heard. I don't know, she whispered. That's why I need time. Time. The cruelest request. She wasn't asking for forgiveness or clarity. She was asking to temporarily remove me from her life, so she could revisit someone who had cheated on her during their college years. Someone who had crushed her once and apparently still held her curiosity like a rusty hook in her chest. I pushed my chair back. Rebecca wasn't a bad woman. Not at first. When we met, she was ambitious, magnetic, and bold. She worked in interior design, and I managed logistics at a private aerospace firm. We were 2 professionals in our 30s who felt like we had outgrown games. And yet, here she was, wanting to play the cruelest game of all. Let me go explore someone else, and if that fails, maybe I'll come back. But I wasn't anyone's placeholder. That night, she packed a small suitcase without a single tear. She said she'd stay at her sister's loft in Brooklyn while she sorted through her feelings. I didn't stop her. I didn't shout or slam doors. I simply waited until she left, then poured myself a whiskey and opened my laptop. If she wanted time, she'd get it, but I wouldn't be standing still. 3 weeks passed. Rebecca had texted a few times, mostly neutral. Hope you're okay. Can we talk soon? Still figuring things out. I didn't reply. I didn't owe her that anymore. Not when she had already made her decision. I spent my days hitting the gym harder than I had in years. My nights were filled with long drives, coffee with old friends, and journaling until sunrise. Not because I was healing, but because I was preparing. That's when I stumbled onto something I wasn't looking for. An email from her tablet, which she had forgotten to log out from. The subject line, last night. My heart clenched. The message wasn't even long. Julian, you always knew how to find the words. I haven't laughed like that in years. And that kiss, well, let's just say I shouldn't have let it happen, but I'm not sorry it did. Becca, I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there for 15 solid minutes and felt everything fall away. The hope, the illusions, the belief that maybe I had misunderstood her. She had kissed him, and she had written to him like a lover, not a confused wife. That was all the clarity I needed. I stood up, closed her tablet, and walked out into the night air. The cold was sharp, but cleansing, like the universe was carving out a new version of me. She had chosen her past. Now, I would choose her ending, and she wouldn't see it coming. By the time Rebecca texted me again, can we talk soon? I miss you. I had already hired the attorney. His name was Marcus Levin. Sharp suit, sharper tongue, known across Manhattan's elite circles for handling divorces like corporate takeovers. I didn't want messy. I wanted surgical, quiet, lethal, precise. Do you want to ruin her? He asked casually, tapping his pen. I shook my head. No, I want to free myself completely and make sure she understands what she threw away. We drew up the papers that night, and that was only step 1. Rebecca didn't know it yet, but every foundation of her comfort was built on my name. The condo we lived in, purchased under my trust before the wedding. The Tesla she drove around like a badge of independence, registered to my firm's executive fleet, something she never once asked about. Even the rent for her studio space downtown, where she met clients and bragged about running her own business, came from the silent capital I'd been moving her way every month without recognition. I didn't cut it all off immediately. I waited, watched, and began my own transformation. I started with my appearance. The same guy who once wore creased chinos and budget polos now walked into work with tailored shirts, confident sharp as his jawline. I upgraded my look, revamped my energy, and it was like the world noticed overnight. My assistant asked if I had a new girlfriend. My team lead joked I'd finally joined the rest of the executives in the real world. But I wasn't chasing attention. I was rebuilding what Rebecca had quietly dismantled over the years, my identity. I joined a boxing gym in Hell's Kitchen. I started cooking again, something I had given up because Rebecca always preferred takeout. I took long walks without direction, only purpose. And every day, I got stronger. Meanwhile, Rebecca still hadn't realized the gravity of what she'd done. She called one night. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Her voice trembled. I think I made a mistake. I played it twice, then deleted it. I wasn't ready to respond. Not yet. Not until she felt the impact. Julian dumped her 2 weeks later. I heard it from someone unexpected. Her sister Tessa. She called me one evening, her voice hesitant but honest. Look, Miles, I didn't know how deep things had gone. But Julian? He never cared. He told her she was exciting, until she wasn't. Said he didn't want baggage. That's how he put it. She's been crying for days. I didn't respond with pity. I didn't laugh. I just listened. She still thinks there's a chance with you, Tessa added softly. There's not, I replied without hesitation. What Rebecca had destroyed couldn't be patched up with tears or regret. She didn't just break a promise. She made me feel disposable. And now, I was building something indestructible. By early spring, I made my final move. I hosted a dinner party in the condo. Clean, modern, intimate. Just 10 people, colleagues, new friends, a few neighbors. I cooked every dish myself. There was jazz playing, candles flickering, and for the first time in years, laughter filled my home. Rebecca showed up uninvited. I heard the elevator ding and saw her through the glass entry. She was dressed too carefully. Hair curled, lips trembling. I opened the door without a word. The room fell into a polite hush. Can I speak to you alone? She asked, barely above a whisper. I led her to the hallway, just outside the kitchen. I didn't know you were doing all this, she said, eyes flicking toward the guests. I thought you needed time. No, I said calmly. You needed time. I made a decision. Her voice cracked. Julian was a mistake. I should never have. I cut her off with a steady gaze. You should never have made me your backup plan. Tears welled. Can we talk, Miles? Please. I know I messed up, but I smiled, and it wasn't cruel. It was peaceful. Rebecca, this isn't hate. I'm just done. She looked like someone who had lost her place in the world. And maybe she had. She stepped closer. You're not even angry. I leaned in slightly. I was. But then I remembered who I am. And with that, I walked back to my guests. She stood frozen for a moment before the elevator doors closed around her. I didn't turn back. 2 days later, Rebecca texted, Please don't sell the condo. It's our home. I still believe we can fix this. But her belief came far too late. Because by then, the condo had already been listed. And not quietly either. I had partnered with one of the top luxury realtors in Manhattan. One who knew how to move fast and discreet. Within 72 hours, we had 2 full-price offers and a cash buyer ready to close. The buyer? A venture capitalist from Boston who didn't blink twice at the price tag. Rebecca's reply, when I informed her of the sale, was almost comical in its panic. You can't be serious. That's my studio space. I still have stuff there. You didn't even talk to me first. I replied with a screenshot of the signed offer and simply wrote, You forfeited your seat at the table when you walked out to chase someone else. She called. I let it ring. She called again. And again. I blocked her. A few days later, her sister Tessa showed up. She stood outside my building, arms crossed, looking guilty. I'm not here to convince you to take her back, she said right away. Honestly, I think she deserved to lose everything. But she's unraveling. She's not sleeping, not eating. Her design clients are pulling out one by one. Words getting around. About what? I asked, my voice like ice. That she left you for a guy who ghosted her. That she blew up a good marriage for a fantasy. People talk, Miles. Especially in our circles. It hit me how fragile her image had always been. She wasn't just grieving a marriage. She was watching the scaffolding of her curated life fall apart. No home. No car. No support. No Julian. Just consequences. I didn't come to watch her fall. I told Tessa. But I won't stop it either. I was already gone. By the time Rebecca was begging me to meet, just for closure, I was loading the last of my boxes into a moving truck bound for Seattle. A fresh start. A promotion waiting for me. and a future that didn't include apologies or unfinished conversations. Before I left, I sent her one final package. Inside was everything she had left behind in the condo. Her scarves, her coffee table books, her favorite framed photo from our trip to Italy, shattered, accidentally or otherwise, during packing, and a typed note. Rebecca, I hope someday you understand the difference between nostalgia and love. I loved you. Fully. You loved a memory. Goodbye. Miles. No flourish. No threat. Just the truth. My first night in Seattle, I walked to the pier alone. The air was different there, crisp, a little damp, full of possibility. I sat on a bench overlooking the bay, sipping coffee, watching the ferries move slowly across the dark water. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel bitter. I felt clean, as if something had finally been scrubbed out of me. And then my phone buzzed. It was a new number. I know you're done with me, but I need to say it anyway. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I ruined everything. Rebecca. I read it and didn't reply, because silence is sometimes the most honest answer. 6 months later, my life didn't just look different. It felt different. The downtown Seattle apartment I moved into had floor-to-ceiling windows, all glass and light. Mornings began with coffee brewed in silence and long runs along Alki Beach. Evenings were filled with tech meetups, skyline dinners, and, surprisingly, genuine laughter. I didn't just relocate. I evolved. Professionally, things soared. The West Coast division offered everything the New York branch never had: creative freedom, higher stakes, and respect. Within weeks, I was promoted to lead operations on a cutting-edge aerospace logistics project. Every day brought purpose, challenges, fulfillment. Personally, I rediscovered myself. I started learning French. I joined a sailing club. I adopted a dog, a shepherd mix named Rocket, who, within days, knew more loyalty than Rebecca had shown me in years. There were women, yes, but nothing serious yet. I wasn't chasing distraction. I wanted connection, authentic, patient, earned. And then, out of nowhere, came the email. From Rebecca Franklin. Subject: just one conversation. Miles, I know I have no right to reach out, and I don't expect a response, but I've been following your new work, your promotion, your move. I see your name mentioned in articles now. I guess I still think about everything. About us. About the man you were. The one who would have walked through fire for me. I was blind. Julian was a mistake. I know that now. He never loved me. You did. And I spat on it. You probably hate me. Maybe you should. But I don't hate you. I miss you. I'm sorry. Please, if you can, just let me know you're okay. R. I stared at the message for a long time, and I thought about the man I was when she left. The one who didn't sleep for days, who second-guessed every word, every moment, every sign he might have missed. But that man wasn't here anymore. He was gone, burned away in the quiet fire of betrayal and rebirth. I didn't reply. Instead, I clicked archive, not out of cruelty, but out of peace. Later that week, I ran into someone unexpected at a bookstore downtown. Her name was Harper. She worked for an architecture firm a few blocks from my office. We both reached for the same David White poetry collection. Our fingers touched. She laughed first. We started talking, then didn't stop. Coffee led to dinner. Dinner to conversation so honest it felt like air after drowning. She didn't know my past. Didn't care. She just saw me as I was, not who I'd been. It was strange and beautiful. And when she smiled at me that night across the table, a soft sincerity in her eyes, I realized something startling. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at Rebecca. Not at Julian. Not even at myself. What happened had happened. But it had led me here. To the man I had become. To the life I was living now. To the table where someone new was waiting. Not because she pitied me, or because she needed closure, but because she genuinely wanted to know me. 1 year to the day after Rebecca walked out, I wrote her a letter. I didn't plan to send it. I didn't need to, but I needed to write it for me. Rebecca, it's been exactly 1 year since you asked me for time. I remember your voice, shaky but determined. You said you needed clarity. You said you wanted to revisit the past before committing to the future. What you didn't realize is, real love doesn't ask for rehearsal space. I gave you loyalty, depth, and truth. You gave me silence, half answers, and the ghost of someone who used to care. And when I asked the one question that mattered, do you love him? You answer without words. And I heard it loud and clear. You were never confused. You were curious about what it would feel like to choose chaos, to flirt with nostalgia, to see if the man who once betrayed you might still make your heart skip. But in doing so, you forgot about the man who stood beside you every day, without needing to be dramatic to be devoted. You thought I'd wait. You thought I'd remain your anchor while you tested the waters with a storm. But I left, not because I stopped loving you, but because I started loving myself more. You taught me what indifference feels like when disguised as self-discovery. You taught me what betrayal looks like when wrapped in the language of self-care. And I thank you for it, because you also taught me what I deserve, what I'll never tolerate again, and what true peace tastes like when you stop begging to be chosen. I don't hate you, Rebecca, but I don't know you anymore. And I've built a life so full, I don't even look for you in the empty spaces. I hope you find whatever it is you were looking for. But just so you know, I found it. It wasn't Julian. It wasn't closure. It was freedom. Miles. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer, beneath the deed to my new home, beside Rocket's adoption papers, and the flyer Harper had left on my windshield the day she invited me to her gallery opening. I never wrote about Rebecca again. She faded like the scent of old perfume, familiar, but no longer wanted. Months later, I passed through New York for a conference. I didn't visit our old neighborhood, but I did see something curious on social media. A mutual friend had posted a photo from a fundraiser. Rebecca was there, alone, smiling too hard, holding a wine glass like it might break if she let go. She looked radiant and empty, and I felt nothing. Now, I wake up in a city that never stops growing, in a home that hums with warmth and honesty, with a woman beside me who doesn't wonder if someone else might have been better, who never once made me feel like a backup plan. I live fully, not for revenge, not for performance, but because I finally understand. Peace is the loudest closure, and the most satisfying revenge is no longer needing one.